Gabe, will you lead us in prayer, please?
Let's pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being in this meeting this morning. Father, we thank you we seek your guidance, Father, for this board, Father, and for all our leaders throughout this great country. Father, please be with during our elections, Father, that everything may go smoothly. Father, just please be all our men and women who are diligently protecting us overseas and at home, Father, that you just may be with them and their families. And Father, we just thank you for the blessings you've given us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Follow me in the pledge, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody. I appreciate the board and the public's understanding of moving this date from Tuesday to Thursday. I was unable to make that appointment Tuesday. I had some pressing engagements, so I appreciate that. Thank you, board members, for allowing that to be changed. With that, before we go into the board's business, I know we have a guest. I think it's Bryce Thomas. I want to jump gears a little bit here so we can get you back. I understand you have a meeting in Weewa.
Yes, sir, I got 66 graders coming to.
Gotta take care of them.
Second graders coming to the tower at Weewa, so I appreciate y'all letting me go first. I'm here just to give my annual report from the Florida Forest Service to the county commissioners. This year, y'all received just under $8,000 grants from us to your fire departments. Howard Creek got some, South Gulf got some, and Overstreet got some money this year. Started off real busy this year, super dry, and then, of course, the storms came. So we averaged about 50 inches this year, which is last year we received 45, which is not a lot of difference, but we got most of the 50 inches at one time, it seemed like this year. So we only had 19 wildfires in Gulf County this year, which burned just under 800 acres. And lightning was the major cause this year, which is almost always in Gulf County. It's always lightning, so that's normal. We issued 247 burn permits to Gulf County residents, authorizing almost 9,000 acres and 419 pile burns. So that's a good amount of burning. We're trying to get more people to burn, and it's working. It's getting, the wildfires are getting less severe, and that is a work in progress. Also, we're going to continue our hard work on fire prevention. We had no children cause fires in Gulf County last year, so that's probably the first time ever.
I've lost some pipe over those issues, so I appreciate that.
So that's a good thing that's working, and that's what we're doing today. And I appreciate Marshall and the EOC, and Brad Price is doing real good. We got a good working relationship with him now since he's come on board, and that's helped with us and the fire chiefs. It's a good contact, so that's a good thing to us. He's helping us, him and Marshall both. So that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions.
Questions from the board? I just want to say thank you for that
Yes, sir.
unsung hero. I mean, when we have brush fires or we have it, I know you guys are always there.
Yes, sir.
We turn to our local volunteer fire departments, which do a great job, but you guys are always there. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I'd like to pull page 44 and replace it with a new invoice. This is for the medical examiner service for the month of October. They gave us fiscal year 11-12 numbers instead of 12-13 numbers for October, and I'll just give the clerk the new invoice.
What's the differential?
It's a little less than $100, which equates to the change in the annual cost for the year.
Okay. Wishes of the board?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion, Mr. McDaniel? Second, Commissioner Yeager. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0. Public hearings, Mr. Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you would direct your attention to page 74, your consent, there is two issues recently with regards to our PDRB. The first was a tabled variance application from applicants Hines and Ivy. At our most recent PDRB meeting, that was motioned again to table it for another month for the applicants to come back with additional information, and that was passed. The second was with regards to a small-scale amendment, parcel ID 0104507. It was an action necessary with regards to an ordinance that had been introduced to the PDRB and was advertised. The first public hearing was at our last PDRB meeting, and the second would be today with regards to bringing a non-conforming existing structure into compliance by changing the 1-acre parcel of a land use designation from conservation to residential. There was the first public hearing and introduction of the actual ordinance to the PDRB. We conducted a public hearing. It was voted at that time for a recommendation of the ordinance to this county commission, and it is presented to you all today for a public hearing as well.
Motion, Commissioner Yeager.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Smiley. Any discussion?
Mi- mi-
In public?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
I will abstain from voting on this.
Mr. Chairman, I'll have to abstain on the 70R.
Okay, let me go to the public. Anybody from the public have any comment regarding this? Okay, we've got a motion. We have a second. We have 2 abstentions. Motion carries 3-0 with 2 abstentions. All right, go ahead, Mr. Attorney.
That's all we have. If there is, thank you.
Okay. Let's go right into our county staff business. Ms. Carey? Clerk, anyone else? Lynn?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask for the board's consideration. Bid number 1112-19 was previously brought to the board, and it was tabled for more information. We only had one bidder. This is for the fountain that used to be in the courthouse, and because the fountain was meant for a bigger area, it was never able to be used, so it was pulled out of the courthouse, and it is in storage at the moment. Unfortunately, it was bought several years ago, and we've not been able to find out the purchase price of that because they can't remember where they bought it from. But we only had one bidder on that fountain, and the original bid price was $200. The bidder has come back and said that they would be willing to pay $350 for that fountain. We have nowhere else to put that at the moment. Can't think of anywhere else that we could use that fountain, and it has taken up considerable space in our storage area, and maintenance has a hard time moving around because of it. So for your consideration,
I mean, I know this has come up before. I don't really have any issue with it, but any other NGOs that we've looked at, the health departments, the Boy Scouts, I mean, is there anything out there that would look
we
at
can't
versus?
think of any other use for it.
Mr. Turner, you have any guidance?
I have to look at it closer, Mr. Chairman. I haven't had an opportunity to review it.
Mr. Chairman, I took a good look at it, and I feel like $300 is getting there. I mean, I know ain't no one there standing in line to put a bid up, but anyway.
I mean, I have not seen the actual fountain, so I can't speak that I've actually seen it, but I would prefer that something that was such a monumental piece that we hear. Fountain's a nice issue. It could be used for a lot of different agencies, and so I don't know. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, and I haven't seen the fountain either, Ms. Lynn, but is it possible we could use it at the ball field?
It's a decorative fountain. It's about, if I'm not mistaken, Don, correct me, it's about 6 foot tall, 7 foot tall, probably 4 foot.
It was under the stairs at the courthouse,
Five.
it was the floor all the time.
Yeah, it's the one that was below the stairs.
It was taken out because kids were getting in the fountain, and there's a possibility somebody might get hurt or drowned in it. So we took it out from under the stairway.
I'd like to look at it before we make a decision. Is that possible?
I have pictures of it. If you want me to go and bring those back, I could
That'd
do
work.
that.
That would work.
Well, we need to do, with case in hand, we got a bid. We need to either delay or reject a bid and review it. What would you?
Table it.
All right, you want to table it?
Yeah, second.
All right, we got a motion, Commissioner Yeager, second, Commissioner McLemore. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0 to table, and then the commissioners can review it.
Next item. If you'll notice from your bid packet today, we are taking considerable time and effort every board meeting. It takes a lot of employee time to get together all of the invoices and things that we have. I'd like the board to consider a possible change for those items in our budgets, such as the medical examiner that I brought before you today that is in the consent agenda. we're having to put everything in there, even those things that are previously budgeted, all invoices and such. It's taken a lot of time, paper. Vendors are being delayed being paid because we have to go through the entire process. It takes about 3 weeks to get everything through into board meetings. Would it be possible, if you could consider, maybe department heads at the beginning of each fiscal year, put those items that are in their budget, that are paid monthly, quarterly, the budgeted item is the amount that's in the budget, you've already approved your budget, maybe put those in there one time and list them and their prices so that we can go ahead and just, the department head can approve those after the initial approval at the beginning of the fiscal year, so that we can expedite the process and create less time spent on getting these items paid.
My problem, and obviously with my transition, I'd leave that decision more heavily to the four of you, but my concern, if we had the Munis system and the accounting process and the ability for me to look off-site and drill down and look in different areas and the technology that we've been talking for, I'd be fine with that, because I do think it inundates our staff, et cetera. The problem that I feel with it right now is I don't always know what's going on between what's an annual budget item and what's happening on different staff members or different department heads. I would be uncomfortable in doing that because I have no ability to sort of check it unless you tell me or Don tells me through the system it's antiquated. I hear you, that we're having to muddle through, but I'll turn it over to the board. We don't have a system for us to review it independently and/or show the public that information is being reviewed. So I hear you, but there may be something in between.
Let me think about that a little bit. I mean, I don't want to make a decision on that right now. Let me think about that until the next board meeting.
Any other board members?
Yeah, I'm willing.
Okay, we're just going to wait, Lynn, and review
sir,
it.
that's fine.
Maybe you can explain a system where each commissioner would feel comfortable, and then what that protocol would be for the public, to be able to look at our budget.
The only items I was talking about, those that are approved in the budget, during the budget process that you have a chance to review. And as long as the items are according to that budget and invoiced correctly by the vendor, then the department head just signs off on something that you've already approved. I'm not talking about anything outside of that.
Well, and I think we're probably saying the same thing, but if I have a $50,000 line item, and as long as I don't overrun that budget, then I'm not, what you're saying, I wouldn't be basically looking at that. That's already an approved process in the budget.
Exactly.
What I'm
And
saying,
you know the medical examiner's $45,000 a year, and all we're going to do is approve that amount on a monthly basis or quarterly basis. And we're just going to approve that so the checks can go ahead and be cut.
I would more look at it, and again, we'll address it next week, because I agree with Commissioner Yeager, but more like a fixed cost scenario versus a budget issue. I mean, if it's utilities, if it's, something that's in there, that's really basically what we call a fixed cost, and, it is what it is. It's going to be a light bill coming in, it goes into the budget. I think we could do that, but let's study it, and we'll come back.
Well, that was just why I said we would put it in there at the beginning of each fiscal year, so you would know the amount that they would be paying each month or each quarter, and you know that you can go back to your budget and balance those two. So that was,
I don't think I'll have an issue with it, but first I've heard of it, so I want to review exactly
Yes,
what
sir.
you want to talk about.
Anyone else? Okay, go ahead, Lynn.
that's all.
Jason?
Houston Whitfield, EMS Director. I had a verbal request yesterday from Bay County, an employee from Bay County. They want to borrow one of our manual stretchers we have in storage right now, and we don't have them in use for about 6 months. And what they're going to do with this, they're trying to get set up and start the EMS over there. The county's going to be operating it, and they're going to do their own mobile transports. So they want to
Zach, of being sort of looking somewhat naive in that, what exactly does a manual stretcher do? I understand the concept, but what does it do medically?
It's a stretcher like we use in the trucks, but the ones we use now are electric.
So it's just an
It's just
antiquated
a
piece,
antiquated
so
piece
it
of
won't
equipment.
affect us at all?
No,
Okay.
but it's on inventory, and I want to get approval on it before we do it.
Chairman, may I?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Whitfield have them signed
Right,
for
we
it, with a
gonna have
copy
a-
going to the,
But we have an
channel.
agreement with a serial number on it.
We have an
Sure.
existing interlocal aid assistance, correct?
Yes.
I think that's fine, as long as that's marked. I agree with you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
That's right. Do we need a motion on that, Jeremy?
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion, Commissioner McDaniel, second Commissioner Yeager. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay.
Thank you. Joe? David?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. We just got notice the other day from Eglin that we've had a series of, in the comp plan, on dealing with base encroachment issues, major issues, mostly the height of the buildings in the area that potentially affect the radar. They were capped at 50 foot. But Eglin was gracious enough to recognize there could be some, variations. We've had several variances applied for, up to about 3 feet is the maximum, I think it is. They're getting concerned over, they didn't anticipate that many variances. And so I just want to alert the architects, builders, and everybody else that it's a good chance that 50-foot height limit is going to become a ceiling real soon if we don't slow down on these requests. And I just want to alert, the board and developers and homeowners and everybody else that this is potential. And believe me, because of base encroachment, the state emphasis, it's an issue we will lose. I mean, there's no fighting it. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Richardson, is that, describe the area that this 50, is it all of Gulf County, the coastline?
It could apply to all of Gulf County because of possibly the inland. Right now, the major concern is mostly on the coastal area.
All right, how many applicants or applications do you have that's asking to go to the 50 or exceed the 50?
Just got one just approved yesterday, which triggered this. I think I've had maybe 5.
I thought we had, now I could be wrong, yeah, I should know, but I thought there was a 50-foot, we had that already.
There is a 50-foot, but there is a clause in there that Eglin, you could go higher. 50-foot is kind of arbitrary, but it's going to be pretty soon. Eglin's going to lock this down to 50-foot solid. And I just want to caution everybody, don't keep pushing the envelope. And that's,
We don't have a whole lot. We don't have a whole lot that asks for variance, but we do have some. David, did we ever get the determination on the 50-foot? Is that from sea level, or is that, what's the determination now? I know there was some confusion with some of the numbers on that.
we were able to get it locked at ground level.
Okay. I don't think it happens very often, but I think this is for informational purposes only to say,
That's all it is.
Yeah, it's getting tighter, so.
That little loophole we were able to get in there may soon be taken out if we aren't careful. That's all.
Eglin pulls the purse strings on this.
Yes, sir.
Good, okay.
Okay, any other questions? Michael?
I need permission for the board to approve and the commission to sign the contract with MorphoTrack. It's the live scan machine that we use to fingerprint inmates. The last couple of years, I've been signing it. This year, the price has gone over $5,000, so we need the board to approve it and the chair to sign. And it's unfunded mandate. There's no choice. As far as I know, they're a single source provider, but
How much is it, Mike?
$5,102. It's in the budget, but it's
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion, Commissioner Yeager. Second, Commissioner McLemore. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
The next item, Jeremy's going to bring up the contract extension with the Sacred Heart System, Dr. Pablo, for our medical director. Same type thing that Lynn had brought up. I need permission for us to pay them whatever we owe them back as soon as y'all approve this extension. We have a flat monthly fee that we pay them on contract, $2,000 and some change, $24,144 a year, whatever that works out to be. That's a continual bill that we pay every month in the same type deal. We'd like to approve it one time for the year and pay it monthly without having to come back each and every time for that. So if y'all could agree when you extend this contract to go ahead and let's pay them what we owe them, I'd appreciate that.
Do you want to wait until he gets through that process? You're giving us a
I
pregame?
wanted to add it to that process.
All right, let me ask a question related to that. There was some discussion with them at some point with the telemedicine and some of the moves that Dr. Pablo was putting in with the state side. Has any of that discussion continued on? So from transport and different cost savings that we could have, has that been addressed at all? Have you had any discussions with him?
Not on the jail side.
All right, we probably need to follow up on that because there was some discussion it's been probably a year ago or more, but he was trying to work with the state in, the same type telemedicine, et cetera, that they could be accessed. And I think if that system is being implemented, it could certainly save us from the time that you have to transport people, et cetera. So if you will, just follow back up with, and that would be helpful. Okay, Mr. Attorney?
If I can pick up where Michael left off, on that Dr. Pablo contract, it's a renewal of last year. The contract was executed by both parties, Sacred Heart. Their general counsel, Karen Emanuel, had reviewed it, and I've since revised the contract, updated it for this year. But if I can ask for a motion of the commission, subject to attorney review, the only amendment to the contract is a renewal of the year. Same terms, same services, same obligations, nurse practitioners under Dr. Pablo's supervision. So all the terms are the same as last year's contract, just a renewal for the year. So if I can ask for a motion to approve that, signature by the chairman.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion, Mr. Yeager.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Commissioner McDaniel. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
And I anticipate having that back for you in 2 weeks. I'll put that in there as well. The second on my list this morning is the Beasley Allen. We've had, most recently in the last month, the opportunity to sit with our special counsel on our Deepwater Horizon pending claims as well as potential suit. We've met with special counsel. Most recently, the Assistant County Administrator and myself met with both Beasley Allen attorneys as well as attorneys for BP about 3 weeks ago. Beasley Allen has asked for the opportunity to come and speak before the commission in closed session with regards to the progress that's being made through these mediation sessions, if you can call them that, really a claim evaluation session. But we've progressed to a point where they'd like to request to come and meet with you all in closed session. In accordance with Florida statute, I need to ask for your permission under the county's advice to ask for you to make the motion to approve that. We've already noticed the meeting in anticipation of ideally having that obligation. We'll schedule it for tomorrow morning. We'll have a court transcriber as required by Florida statute as well. But I'd ask for a motion so we can properly move to closed session tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Motion, Commissioner Yeager.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Smiley. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
And if I can, just for the public, the closed session meetings under Florida statute will be sealed transcripts of those meetings until the pending litigation is resolved, and at a later date under sunshine, that those transcripts then become available to the public as part of public record. The second issue, recently the county attorneys in Florida have come up with its strategic highway safety plans, and they're going around the state surveying what the various counties have in terms of policies and restrictions with regards to county staff and highway safety. In speaking with the county administrator, what I'd like to ask is the commission to give us the ability to look at our county personnel and safety policy and consider some language in Section 6 with regards to texting while driving by county staff. I know it seems almost as a no-brainer that it is a safety precaution we should all take, but we'd like to add some language with regards to Section 6 if we can, introduce it to you at the next meeting for your consideration, if you'd permit us
Now,
to do
if
so.
cigars are included in this, I'm going to feel profiled. I'm just going to let you know. Because texting is...
Just texting.
I understand.
I agree. I mean, do you need a motion to that effect?
If you all instruct us, I'll go back and we'll come back with something in 2 weeks with you all to consider for your county personnel policy.
Come back in 2 weeks. I'm good with that.
You need a motion to that effect?
No,
Okay.
for the adoption of it in 2 weeks.
I'm
we
fine
will.
with it.
Okay. We've had, your county beach driving ordinance in the past has come up, and we've had some constituents in our senior community have asked for your consideration or maybe your clarification on your beach driving permit. If you recall it's $15 per year for Gulf County residents or Gulf County taxpayers under Section C. And then you go on later on, and there's that one-time $3 fee for seniors or disabled, so they don't have to come back to the county facility on an annual basis and continue to get this sticker. C and E are inconsistent with one another. C talks about you are a Gulf County resident or taxpayer, and then E, ideally, I think in reading the ordinance, it was intended to also be for Gulf County residents or a taxpayer, to apply towards seniors or our disabled community. E doesn't qualify or clarify whether it's a taxpayer or a resident, and I can read it specifically into the record for you all. It says a one-time fee of $3 shall be charged individuals who are Gulf County residents and either 65 years of age or older and/or are handicapped citizens resulting in issuance of a permit which shall not be required to be renewed. I think the intent, if you all can clarify was to take that burden off of them coming to the county facility year after year if they get that beach driving permit. The only distinction there is if it's or property, owning property in Gulf County. So if we have someone in our senior community, it's consistent with earlier in the ordinance, but I'd ask for you all to clarify, was it for taxpayers and Gulf County residents in our senior and disabled community?
Yes, it was for both.
That's my
Okay,
understanding.
all right. And if you could, if you put it to a motion, and that way we'll not have to amend the ordinance, but actually ask for that clarification and make it unanimous amongst the
Yeah, I'll
commission.
put that in the form of a motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion, Commissioner Yeager.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Smiley. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item I have is with regards to our TDC. We've had two contracts that this board has approved pending the RFPs that we've opened. You voted at previous meetings to approve them. I'd ask for authorization for the chairman to execute them subject to my review once I receive them back. We just received back our technical data and our price sheets, and to move forward for the TDC on both the welcome guide and our research survey, I'd ask for a motion to approve the chairman's signature pending my attorney review of that final contract.
Motion, Commissioner McLemore. Second, Commissioner McDaniel. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
The last item I have is a public announcement, just to remind everyone, we've posted a notice on the animal control ordinance for our next meeting, our fourth meeting on the subcommittee. We're meeting here in the Commission's conference room on November 7th at 3 o'clock. We've posted a notice on the courthouse. We were doing that so we could give the Humane Society the ability to meet in October, come up with any additional comments, and then come and join Roland, myself, and the other committee persons and finalize something, come back before you. So that's more for the public information, November 7th at 3 o'clock here at the Chairman's Hall. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, while we're with the attorney, let me clear off one of mine. If the board will allow me, I've got a resident down in the Indian Pass area that's wanting to give some properties for specifically for a fire department substation. If the board will allow me to work with the attorney and with that person to get all that paperwork squared away, appreciate it. Not, if
I don't have a problem. So move.
Motion, Mr. McLemore. Second, Mr. Yeager. Any opposition?
Question.
And
I know it. Kind of stipulations.
that's what we're
We
going
have
to
a
work
problem.
on, and before we approve it, we'll bring all the things back to the board. I just wanted to get approval for us to go negotiate
Okay.
with the person.
All right.
Motion carries 5-0.
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
may I, while we on the
Yes, sir.
attorney, I do have one issue that I'd like for him to address. Mr. Attorney, would you mind, what I want to do this morning is clear the air on some of this packed, misled information that they're putting out into the public. I would like you to clear the air on the BP issue and my voting on BP issues. Would you do that? There's about 3 of them that's in here. So y'all listen now, you're gonna hear it from the attorney. Do that, please.
With regards to your voting?
Yes, sir.
You've abstained in the past, and I believe you filled out the Form 8B that you're required to for your abstentions from votes. And then I've asked you, are you currently employed?
No, sir.
Okay, so in terms of votes that come before you, such as tomorrow morning, we have a closed session meeting with regards to our attorneys that have requested that you are able to participate, and I've asked you that question, if there's anything currently that prohibits you from voting in those. You've indicated you do not have a conflict right now. It's upon you to fill out that 8 Form B and report that to the clerk and then to the state when you abstain from county commission votes. Tomorrow morning, we'll have obviously very important decisions to make in a closed session meeting with our special counsel as we progress in this litigation or preliminary litigation. So there's nothing to prohibit you from participating in those votes.
Thank you. Did y'all hear that? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Anything else, Mr. Attorney?
I have nothing right now.
Don?
Mr. Chairman, first item is what we call Troydale parking. It's the parking area just north of the stump hole on the bayside. It's a parking area, one of 3 primary parking areas on Cape San Blas. We put it in place to get some extra money from the state of Florida. It's one of 3 that has a restroom and hopefully 100 parking spaces for the public to be able to use the beach. But we're at the point now, and the value of that primary parking area is roughly $1.2 million to the taxpayers of the county, as opposed to a secondary parking area of $640,000. So it's behoove us to get this parking area in place. And DEP is working with us. We think we can have it done by the end of December. But in order to get it done, we're talking about 3/4 of an acre of land that we've got to stabilize for parking, stormwater work to be done on it. Got to be permitted. We're going to self-certify after we get done. But in front of you, you have a proposal. I asked Clay Smallwood to work it up. And from the engineers, it's going to be paid from beach nourishment money, from TDC monies, $9,700 for the engineering and the permitting of that parking area for the board's consideration. And this is worth a lot of money to us. It's the difference between a secondary and primary parking area. My recommendation to you would be to approve that proposal from Purple Ridge.
Wishes of the board?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion, Mr. McLemore.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Smiley. Any
Question.
Yes, sir.
You say we're going to pay for this?
It's going to come out of beach nourishment funds. It's going to be either the 1 cent that TGC imposes for bed tax, or either just beach nourishment money out of the ad valorem that we have on the beach project. It's not coming out of any other monies.
Okay.
I'll abstain, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any other discussion? Any opposition? Motion carries 4-0 with 1 abstention.
Mr. Chairman, not necessarily in order of importance, but when you approve a consent agenda, page 69, you approve a resolution, and this resolution in effect is asking the president and the government, federal government, not to take the Restore Act monies in a different way than what we have planned and what was planned early on. And just for information, when you approve this, you also approve for this to be sent to all the senators and congressmen and the chairs of all the parishes and counties along the Gulf Coast. And so just for your information, there are like 83 of those. And we'll be sending this to 83 different groups.
I think that's a good point. I appreciate that clarification, but also for the public standpoint, as I transition, Commissioner Yeager will be running our local committee and then serving on the task force and our vote on the consortium. This issue is related to the federal passing of the legislation that basically triggers all this. There's been a move with the administration and with the Justice Department to circumvent that law and put these money into the NERDA process, which is a natural resource and damage assessment. And if that actually occurs, BP would get hundreds of millions of dollars in a tax direct deduction. And then there would be an offset from a project where, like for example, if they did our boat ramp, it wouldn't be $1 for $1. It may be $1 of cost, but they get $5 worth of credit. So it's very misleading to me why the administration would actually circumvent the Constitution, the authority of Congress. And this just passed. He signed it into law in July, and now we're talking about doing it. So this is a real critical piece to the evolution of how this works. So we're all in tandem in fighting that, but I appreciate that, bringing up that point. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chair, next item. My recommendation to you, this is to do with bid number 1112-20. This is when the board went out to possibly sell some properties, county-owned properties, countywide. We received 3 bids. Back then, this was back in May. We've been back and forth on a couple parcels in Beacon Hill. But my recommendation to you is the rate that was bid, and my conversation with the sole bidder is to reject bid 1112-20. We have a market analysis showing that the lots are worth at least $30,000 a piece, and we got a bid of $1,000 and got an offer of $1,250. So my recommendation to you would be to reject this bid.
Motion.
Motion, Commissioner McDaniel.
Second.
Second, Commissioner McLemore. Any discussion? Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, next item, I'm handling this for Tawana. She's under the weather today. Proposed resolution to do with EMS, and resolution certifying that the monies from EMS Services Matching Grant will improve and expand the county's pre-hospital emergency medical services system. Recommendation to you to approve this resolution so we can apply for that grant for the ambulance system.
So move.
Motion, Commissioner Smiley.
Second.
Second,
Question.
Commissioner Yeager. Go ahead.
Mr. Whitfield, have you reviewed this?
Yes, it's a annual grant.
Satisfied with it?
Yes.
Okay, any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chair, last board meeting, the board instructed staff to start the process to make application to acquire the Lighthouse properties, those 4 pieces of property. We started the process, just for your information, it's like a 30-page process that we're going through. One of those is for the county commission to approve a resolution. It's got to be approved and got to be back in their hands by November the 4th. We don't have another county commission meeting before then. So the recommendation to you is we have a resolution here, and the clerk's got a copy of it. And if the board will consider, Mr. Attorney could read the title to it, consider passing this resolution to start the process. Doesn't mean we're going to take it, but it'll start the process.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
The resolution is the authority to acquire property. It stated, whereas a certain real property owned in the United States of America located in Cape San Blas, Gulf County, Florida, has been declared surplus at the discretion of Eglin Air Force Base, may be assigned to the Secretary of the Interior for disposal for public park or recreational purposes under the provisions of United States Code 40, subsection 550, and any regulations and policies promulgated pursuant thereto, more particularly described as follows, and provides a legal description of the property and goes on to provide additional whereas clauses.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Got a motion, Commissioner Yeager.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Mr. McDaniel. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
Before we leave that, Don, before you go to the next item, let me go ahead and say that we've had some developments with that committee and the taking and moving it to Salinas Park and all those kinds of things. Mr. Pat Hardman has been working on it. I've been working on it, getting some numbers and those type things. We've actually got, from an anonymous donor, a sizable donation. So in the very near future, I'll be coming back with you with some specifics. We've got a little plan that I will hand out to you and give a copy to the clerk later. But that's moving forward and actually is looking pretty good. I think Don has reviewed the agreement on Salinas Park. We've got the ability to put it there. And I always thought that money was going to be the hindrance, but we did. A gentleman approached me this weekend and confirmed it on Tuesday that he wants to make a sizable donation to put that in Salinas Park. So we'll be moving forward with that, and I'll provide you more information on that as we continue going forward.
That's excellent. The other thing that I would recommend that we continue to follow up with, there's been a lot of grants throughout. I know when Mr. Peters was here, and a lot of things that was done where the county was involved. I'd like to see those numbers in total of, sort of where we've been in the process historically. And I think the other projection that would help, Mr. Yeager, with your committee, one of the things I keep saying is that, when the city was reviewing this, they started talking about doing it, but they have no money for maintenance and upkeep and things. That's what, when we ask for money for fireworks and such. So, to me, I'd like to see some schedule of maintenance and what that's projected, so that we could start. I know that that's premature as you're putting all this together, but at least some ballpark ideas of what we're talking about.
We've got some insurance numbers, and we've got some ballpark ideas on the cost. To move it, those specifics may not change, but they may even get a little bit better because of where we place them, the structures. So I think those numbers are a wash. What we're still working on is the exact number that it's going to take to actually move them and place them on that particular properties. We're working on that.
Good job. Anything else?
Chairman, next item. Request permission to allow the chairman to execute any documents necessary for the closeout of CDBG DRI grant. That's the stump hole project in the lift station here in Port St. Joe. It's finished. If the chairman can have permission to sign any and all documents relating to that, close it out. That's a recommendation.
Got a motion, Commissioner Yeager. Second, Commissioner Smiley. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Chairman, my last one is just asking the board permission for us to begin the process to develop a set of specs or a job description for someone to give us some assistance. Hopefully by the first year, we'll be able to get it out and get it advertised and get someone in. If the board could give us permission to start the process to develop a job description of for someone that we could hire that could help us. We got a lot of projects going on now that we could use somebody to help out on. This will not be a job that it'd be a one hat, it'd be a multi-hat, be a multitask person. But if the board could allow us to start the process and bring it back in front of you for further go ahead.
Gentlemen, this is kind of what we would talked about during the budget, that at some point, we have got to get a handle on procurement and those type things, and need somebody to overlook that. As we all know, over the last 4 or 5 years, we haven't added staff, we've actually cut staff. Don is swamped. We need this person, and they, whether it be male or female, needs to be multi-talented. So I think in this motion, we'll include the ability to advertise once you do get that worked up. Is that what you're requesting, Don?
Yeah, what I'd like to be able to do is work out the job description and give you some details of what this person will be doing and how today I could hand off 3 big projects to someone today, and but give you an idea of what this person will be doing.
Okay.
And then if the board, okay with the board at that point in time to move forward, we did place the money in reserve during budget time in anticipation of this.
Let me make a couple comments, and I know that Commissioner Yeager, you've talked about this. I've beat the drum on a CFO or procurement specialist in Munis ever since I was started here. But to me, there are some issues that we need to look at that when we start talking about the budget, for example, the chamber EDC issue to me right now is unresolved. We cut their budget according to the match with the city. We've had no discussion, or I haven't had any discussion with anyone from the chamber or the EDC regarding that. I've heard discussions, basically rumors that the chamber is talking about splitting and having an individual run the chamber and an individual run EDC. Well, with $40,000 of where they're currently funded, I don't know how you do that. If you turn around and do public-private partnering, are we setting the chamber up to compete against the Economic Development Council, and we fail? So as we look at these positions, and I agree 100% that Don needs some administrative support, but I think the EDC is going to be a major issue. And if we do have to take that back, if in fact that's what they've done, and I don't know, I guess we should direct Mr. Novak to go back and deal with it, because I'm speculating. But if that in fact is what they've done, we got a major issue, because if we take that designation back and we hire that individual as an EDC, we've committed $20,000 in our budget, but that won't work. We're talking $40,000, $50,000. I don't know what the EDC director makes, but I think it's in the $50,000, $60,000 range. But the scenario is that if that's the case, that's a priority issue for me. Second, probably more important, we did discuss this, Commissioner Yeager, and you're correct in the agenda or in the budget process. But it was more to me of a support function within it. I know that, with the transition we've had Tuan back and forth to TDC, or, trying to help with the grant writing, Lynn, and again, being very sensitive, has certainly had some issues that have caused some questions. And the other side of it, to look at succession planning, I have to be real honest with you. I mean, obviously, I'm leaving, whoever takes over, so that plan is succeeded. But with your potential retirement in the next few years and moving people in, this is a critical decision if that's where we're going. I understand the fact that we need a utility player, somebody that can take projects and get them off of where you are, but I think there needs to be a lot of thought into this process, both from a managerial standpoint and a priority. And the first question I would have to ask is, what are we doing with EDC? Because if I have to make a decision between an EDC director and a procurement specialist, I would vote for the EDC director as priority. Not saying it's not necessary. I 100% agree with it. But we have to think about that. So I just say that for food for thought for the board. But anyway, do you understand what I'm saying, Mr. Butler?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the people in the audience on television heard me make the statement a lot of times that I prefer a proactive board instead of a reactive board, and it seems like we've been on the reactive side too many times. It's an issue that I've thought about, and before we go jumping here making decisions in 15 seconds or less, We need to have some workshops on this. We really need to look and see where we're at and what we're going to do and what we're looking for. Work that way. Now, I look right here, and I'll bring this up. I'm looking right here. I see within the next 5 years, there's going to be major changes in our county government here, within our employees. And you can't wait till the 2 weeks before they decide to bow out and bring someone in. Just like I'll use an example here with Mr. Butler over here. He has a lot of knowledge on the operation of this county. I can call him and he doesn't have to tell me, well, let me get back with you. I'll have to look it up. He already knows. He knows the basis of it all. And that's very, very, very important. Got a lot of money involved in our people. But before we go into this, I suggest that we really, each one of us sit down and maybe have some workshops and look this thing over and see which way we're going. I don't want to get into it, a month later have to say, well, we overlooked that. We need to back up and redo. Don't like that kind of business. Let's go into this thing, do it right to start with, if we're going to proceed with it. So.
All good points, and I agree 100%.
I think we can do a hybrid if Mr. Yeager, you're comfortable with this. And I think it's fine to look at this utility player that you're speaking of and give a salary range, because again, my issues are going to be, not that I have a long time to vote on this, but the priority would be, what are the priorities, and then where's the budget? How is that going to be outlaid? So, but in the interim of that, the hybrid, I'm saying, I'd like to see your job description of what your needs are, and I agree with, Commissioner McDaniel. Let's talk about it, because this is not just an FTE hire. This is succession planning. It's a priority between departments, et cetera, et cetera. So I think there needs to be some thought to it.
Okay, great.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Sheriff? Got something?
Well, I'll clear one more off my list while we're talking to Don, then I'll just about be through. But I know that we approved some administrative retirement in the consent agenda. Don, I want you to come back with a plan too. I know that I have taken it for granted that our department heads like Joe and Marshall were in those lines too. It's not a whole lot of money, but it is a little incentive for our managers to stay with us and work hard and continue the process. So if you would, review those and come back with a recommendation to the board.
I will.
And we'll start that process.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Sheriff? Just want to let you know, he's the one that cut you off.
Just to remind everybody that Friday and Saturday night will be the haunted house in Weewall. It's $2 to get in and bring some canned goods. All the money and canned goods go to support people at Thanksgiving time that are in need of food, and we'll give food baskets out to the senior citizens, other people at Thanksgiving with the proceeds from that event.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Sheriff.
it.
You do a great job with that center. We appreciate it. All right, we'll turn to the board. Mr. McLemore?
One issue I just want to bring to the board's attention, Mr. Williams, you actually worked on this with me probably 4, 5, 6, 8 months ago, I don't know. But fellas, we're having a hard time with Sacred Heart and the dialysis. But we have people out there that's in our community that's been trying to get on this program for months, and months. And Mr. Williams, you probably know more about what the problem is out there than I do, but this is a major issue. We worked and we struggled and we voted and we fought hard for that hospital down there. We fought hard for this operation. And it saddened me to know that we have 75, 80-year-old people out there that desperately need this help right here locally. They having to go to Panama City 3 days a week. It's an all-day job. And it's wearing them out.
I 100% agree. We have worked on that a great deal. I actually have a meeting, I have the canvassing board meeting at 10, I think. And then I have a meeting with Sacred Heart at 12. I'll address that issue. I think there are some specifics of both treatment capabilities, and a lot of these people are being sent over to Panama City because of the time elements and the requirements that some of the patients have, et cetera. But I'll find the specific details with some objectives or solutions, and I'll get back with Mr.
Thank
Butler
you.
so he can get with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Smiley?
I don't have nothing today.
Mr. Yeager?
Just briefly, the only thing I have left is I attended the consortium meeting that we had in Tallahassee this week. This first meeting is more of organizational than anything else, but we did appoint somebody to go to the governor and talk with how we can work with the governor and that consortium. The governor's wanting to appoint 7 more to that particular committee and appoint the chair. And so that caused some concern among the consortium. This consortium will be involved in those other 30% pots of money over and beyond our local dollars. So I'll keep you abreast as we move forward. Our next meeting will be with the FACT Legislative Conference. I guess it's in Sarasota, I think.
I think Sarasota.
Yeah. So we'll have that next meeting then, and I'll report back then to the board.
Okay.
Other than that, that's all I have.
One quick question, Chairman. Mr. Collinsworth, how are you this morning? You can sit right there. I figured. In all sincerity, contractor gets started out here on this, he did?
Yesterday morning.
When?
Yesterday morning.
Okay. All right. Keep an eye on it. Keep it moving for us.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
I just have one quick thing, and I think Lynn's primarily running point on this, but working with Lynn, we have those impact fees that were set aside for Beacon Hill Park, and I know there's a lot of different priorities, but about potentially losing that. I talked with Harry the other day. Whatever we need to do to make sure with those, key elements that we talked about in funding, so we don't lose those dollars. So if you will assist that,
sir, I'll
and
take
maybe work with Lee, because I want to make sure we deliver that to Beacon Hill Park as we go through. That's all I have.
Mr.
I don't
Chairman,
see, George.
I need to mention one other thing, just I think for the record, on my abstention is because I'm employed with the agency.
Okay. I do not see George Gonzalez in the audience. He's on the agenda. Is there a representative with him, or et cetera, or he just MIA? All right, with that,
Mr. Collinsworth, can you give us a little status on what Mr. Rock caught up in WeWa?
can you come to the podium, Lee, at District 3? It looks like you're going to be here for a while.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we went yesterday, Mr. Smiley and myself up there. Monday, I think they're scheduled to lay carpet Monday. They're laying trim this morning, finishing electric, the rooms are done. So shortly after Monday, probably in the next couple of weeks, they'll be moving in, and if all else goes right. I checked with Mr. Hart yesterday, they're still under the 5,000 cap that we had set so far. They're gonna work on the kitchen after they get all the offices done, so, that's where we were at as of yesterday.
Chair? Just to follow up on that, as far as the telephone service, we're working on that, and I talked to Ms. Jeannie yesterday, and their date of move is November 5th if everything gets done. So that's the day that we've arranged to take care of their phone service.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we got him up to the podium. Let me ask him one thing. On Mr. Daniels, the Daniels house up there in town that we were looking at, demolishing, where we at on that?
We spoke with the city manager in Weewall, and he has said that the city is going to burn that they were taking care of that themselves.
Yeah, I have a letter from the city, that they're going to demolish it. We're just gonna have the fire department to dispose of it.
They said they
Burning
will
it.
take care of it themselves.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
all city project, we know that. Mr. Chairman, if I may, on the, health department, while we got him right here, when you start into renovation, you can't, you don't know where you're going or which direction. But anyway, the men, I go up there just about, I'll be back up there this afternoon, and they won't work tomorrow, but I've been up there on a daily basis and moving along good, and we sat down and we got it in the priority. Mr. Carter showed us in general what he wanted, then we said, well, we got to do it in about 3 phases, and one is to get them over there. We may have to, there may be just a little delay on his conference room, because I told him, I said, there's other buildings there that you can use for conferences, and we got a money thing, but I think we're going to be all right. We'll have all the entrance fixed up good, the offices, and the kitchen area. but then we'll go back and readdress this thing. But they've been doing a good job. They've been cutting corners anywhere that they could use any of these ceiling tiles. They used them, they didn't go out and buy, and they've used everything they could, but they surely have. They hadn't been up there wasting.
Yeah,
And
there
I
was some
appreciate
issue
that.
with the water. It's been off so long.
Oh, yeah.
And old pipes that when they cut the water back on, there was water leaks in the walls, and they've had to bust out cement and cap them, but stuff that you couldn't even think about until after we got that far. But they're really doing a great job of it. If you hadn't seen it, if you've seen it before and hadn't seen it yet,
It is.
they're first
Got a place
class.
for a fountain?
Well,
Don't have water.
what about a mirror? You need a big mirror? We've got a big mirror we can let you have. Anyway, Mr. Collinsworth, thank you for watching over that, and we'll get Mr. Carter squared away very shortly.
Yes, sir.
Colin, just let the guys know, they're doing a real good job from what I've seen.
Yes, sir.
Going up there.
I'm out of here.
Thank you,
Go
Lee.
ahead.
Anything else from the board?
Mr. Chairman, one more thing.
That was really not.
Early morning meeting.
I know we
Historical.
were talking about succession and all the things that they've got going on, the folks that's gonna retire in the next 5 years and all those kinds of things. And I think that we've had, Mark in the position that he's followed up with Joe when Joe's been out and other things. I don't know if we need to put it in the form of a motion, but I know that the administrator's been working closely with Mark. And just, matter of fact, I will put it in the form of a motion that Mark is in that succession of line for Joe. Joe's been working closely with Mark and, for the administrator to continue to work with him as his backup.
The only thing I would say, instead of just making it in the line, just make him the designee, because their skill sets are very technical in nature. They're license oriented. I mean, and I say this to both of you.
Good word, designate.
You know, I feel like both of you, intelligent leadership is something that you should all strive for, and you guys both do a great job. From the guy who's complaining about mosquitoes to the vision of where landfills are and working with permits. I mean, it is a collective strategy between the two of you. You've come under as grasshopper and master and that kind of thing and working through. So I have no issue with it. I think it's important to make it the designee. So if that's your motion, then we have a motion. Commissioner Yeager?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Second, Commissioner McDaniel. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0. Are you done now, Mr. Yeager?
I am finished.
Anyone from the public? Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. McElroy, she asked me.
Have one for the clerk.
Wait a minute.
This, she's given a,
You got one, Tina?
can you state your name and address for the record, please, ma'am? Good morning.
Make sure I give you have one? Okay, and the attorney as well. Christy McElroy, 1311 Port St. Joe, Florida. I have a statement and some documents that I'd like to share with you guys. And this is my third statement on this subject. I'm here again out of concern and care for our county. My concern is due to people within and outside our county that are about destroying our community and people in it. This isn't about politics and games played during a political season. No, this is about destroying lives and hurting people in our community in a personal way with no regard to them or their families. Due to these destructive tactics by PAC members and associates, I was called into the state attorney's office because of the fact that I spoke out against the PAC in April and how they tried to hurt me as a result of this. I openly submitted to the state attorney's request and without an attorney went in twice to answer their questions, and a third time last week went in to provide more information. Again, just me and no lawyer, even though I have the right to have one. I had nothing to hide, and I answered their questions. Members of the PAC and several associates with the PAC were asked by the state attorney to do the same thing. They declined this request. People like Jim Garth, Jeff Anderson, Bill Coran, and Joanna Bryan were all asked to come in and answer questions, same as me, and they wouldn't do so. That is their right, because we live in a country of rights, and they certainly have theirs. Remember this, John 8:32 from the PAC website? Then ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Well, I was willing to go into the state attorney's office and share the truth. So why weren't they? So what I can do here and now is share with you a bit about the PAC. Now, if you recall, on April 17th, 2012, at the request of Jeff Anderson, I met with Jim Garth and Bill Coran at Jeff's JKA office on Williams Avenue. You may also recall Jim Garth and Bill Coran stated at the meeting that the goal of the PAC.
I need a motion to continue.
I'll grant a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion, Mr. McDaniel, second. Mr. McLemore, any opposition? Motion carries 5-0. Go ahead.
The goal of the PAC was to remove from power members of the county commission and replace them with people the PAC wants in power, like Joanna Bryan. The PAC's plan was simple. It is and was to provide to the media personal and professional information about seated county commissioners that would embarrass them. They wanted me to dig up and research that kind of information, and I said no. So, power out, power in. This leads me to the fact that Bill Coran made a failed attempt to gain the seat of District 4. And I want to stop there for a second, because when I asked the PAC about this power, Bill said to me, I don't want power. I want to get on my boat and sail away. He made an 11th hour bid for Commissioner Yeager's spot, and he failed. And this further moves me towards District 3 and the campaign contributions to Joanna Bryan's campaign. Total contributions to Joanna's campaign are $17,000. Let's take out the Republican Party and her own contributions, which is roughly $1,700, leaving the campaign $1,500. Jeff and Candy Anderson, who contributed to the PAC as well, and the ones that called me in to talk to Jim Garth, contributed nearly $2,000. Jim Garth, person responsible for the PAC, and his family. Bill Coran, who met with me, and his girlfriend also made contributions to Joanna's campaign. Then let's talk about what's going on over in Bay County and the outside contributions coming in. Panama City and Bay County contributions, $8,600. The city, Panama City and Bay County represents construction interest, real estate interest, developer interest, as well as other interests. So, out of the $15,281, the PAC and Panama City have funded $11,200 to that campaign, which represents 73.5% of the Joanna Bryan campaign contribution. PAC, roughly 22%, and Panama City, Bay County, 78% of that $11,000. So the PAC and their various interests were very clear. Let's clear out the Gulf County Good Old Boys Network. And no wonder they were so clear about that. Beating the drum loud.
Need a
So
motion?
moved.
Motion, Mr. McLemore.
Guess what they,
Second. Hold on just a moment. Second.
I'll second.
Mr. McDaniel, any opposition? Motion carries 5-0. Go ahead.
so let's get rid of the Old Boys Network and bring in the PAC outsider. Power replacement. Power out, power in. just like to go over a few documents with you, and I'll run through them quickly. First, we have the false thing on the PAC website about contributions, and I gave this to the state attorney. They've changed their website, but they did say that those contributions could remain anonymous. You can't do that. The next item I'd like to share with you is a lease agreement between the city of Port St. Joe and Candy and Jeff Anderson and the alley that they own behind some businesses. And who represented Mr. Anderson was Joanna Bryan. There are two other items that I'd like to share with you. One of them, of course, is this ad that was run against Mr. Yeager, currently under investigation by the State of Florida Ethics Commission. And then I have another item that is concerning the Hatch Act and the candidate John Grantland that was also filed. Both of these items filed by Tom Sims, and Tom was responsible, according to him, the night of the Republican debate for Ms. Bryan's strategic plan. I'd also like to share with you, because I talked about personal attacks, and this was something that was shared with me after that meeting, and I wanted to go on the record and make sure that I have a clear record of it. This is from me to Joanna Bryan, to Jeff Anderson, and to Bill Coran. Good day. It has come to my attention that, Jeff, you have listening devices and cameras equipment in your offices and your home, and allegedly may be using this equipment to record conversations without the knowledge of those participating in meetings and conversations. If this is correct, I find it lacks ethics, transparency, and quite disturbing in nature. I have consulted an attorney about putting forth this communication. In return, I got from Mr. Coran causation and cessation, or as Jimmy Buffett sings, you may just end up in one of my songs, exclamation point. As time wore on and things were getting uglier and uglier during this campaign season, and I guess all the stops were pulled out, I had made a contribution to Ms. Bryan's campaign early on, and this is a letter requesting that contribution be returned, and I won't read the whole thing, but it just simply says, due to the fact that the PAC stands for fundamentally outside of my own values and belief system as it pertains to true and honest, open democracy, I must request that you return my funds. As I've discussed, my belief is working towards a purpose and good to our community. It wasn't about the monetary value, it was about the principle. The last item I'd like to share with you on this is concerning this email that Mr. Garth put forth, or said he put forth, to Rick Martin and Rick Martin is part of Freedom Press. And this came out on, it was sent to me.
So moved.
A motion, Commissioner McDaniel. Second, Mr. McLemore. Any opposition? Motion carries 5-0.
It was sent to me around, I think, the 28th of June. And this goes from Jim Garth to Rick Martin. Good morning, Rick. So far, I'm not impressed at all. Thought you guys were going to get at the truth. I gave you and Tim Croft enough information for at least 10 stories. Kaz called me over 3 weeks ago and said you guys were finally moving forward, but nothing has occurred in the paper. I field dozens of calls from PAC members asking about when you guys are going to get off the dime and report properly, but I no longer have any words of hope for them. Starting today, I will tell them that they need to call you and Kaz. This really concerned me because it was right before the 4th of July, and I wasn't sure what was going to be the plan from the PAC. And I thought about this for a few days before I put together a note to Mr. Martin. And again, I won't read the whole thing, but I will say this. Bottom line is, I don't like bullies. I don't like people that use others for their need of control and power. And I don't like anarchy and chaos. That is what these angry people are about. I felt the need to write this because I care and love my second home, Port St. Joe, and hate what these people are doing to it. He responded back, which was interesting, and said, I appreciate your past support. I'm not sure what email you were copied on from Mr. Garth, and would appreciate you forwarding me a copy of it. But I can assure you that neither the Star nor the News Herald will be used by anyone for personal agenda that will not be strong-armed. So what I kind of gathered, I did send this to Mr. Martin, and that email was never sent to him. So I don't know if it was just a ploy on Mr. Garth to get his people up and moving around and get them to call the newspaper and do his bidding for him, and I don't know if they did. Bottom line is this. First half of my childhood, I grew up in a little town called Spring Hill, Louisiana. It was a paper mill town. It was a church town. It was a fishing town, a hunting town, and we had the rodeo. My dad, I was a paper mill baby, and my daddy was transferred to Panama City and worked for IP there. And although I loved Panama City, when I had a chance to find another place to settle, and I used to come over here a lot.
Let me move, Christie, into questions from the board so that we can finish up your statement. But I want to get comments from the, could be compliments from the board. So do you want to gauge, Mr.?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I just have one comment, really and truly. It's a sad day your opponent has to use lies to try to win the election. That's not the way we do it in Gulf County. We've never done it like this. Put your heart and soul into your campaign, and you hope for the best. We don't have to get like this, fellas. And you fellas that's moved in here from Georgia, Alabama, I call you blow-ins. That's what you are. Now, we have a lot of excellent people that's moved in from out of the county. There's my dear friend. But you people that's moved in here that tries to disrupt Gulf County and to use your tactics that you've used in this election year, go back to Georgia and Alabama. We don't want you here. That's my only comment.
Well, I think there's a couple fabric issues that we need to talk about, and I appreciate, again, your passion in bringing this forth. This is not the first time you've come and described that. Basically, you have to look at what's county business and what's not. The issue here is, it is county business when these people file. We just changed our insurance where we have a $10,000 basic deductible that we have to deal with on basic conduct of the elected officials. Okay, and we continuously have false claims that, again, this is a citizen's rights, but I think as a community, we have to reevaluate where we are. Tom Sims has sent in complaint after complaint after complaint, but he doesn't do it, in my opinion, from a standpoint where he sees wrong. It is for political sabotage during an election period. He did it to Commissioner Yeager. It goes on and on. And if you look at members of this PAC, they have one common thread. Tom Sims has run for office 952 times and lost. Jim Garth ran for office and lost. Bill Coran ran for office and lost. And hopefully, Joanna Bryant loses. But the scenario that I look at from a standpoint is people have a choice. But what's sort of government business and what's not government business is sort of what we have to look at. But I will tell you that from a community fabric standpoint, the state attorney investigating activities of a PAC is the public's business, okay? I think absolutely they're paying taxpayer money for that. I also have been questioned and wired to investigate these people. They're out of control. Jim Garth, in his master stroke of a pen, has sent letters saying that I've abandoned my handicapped child. He sent it to the governor. He sent it to the workforce board. He sent it to anybody he can think of. He's been certainly in collusion to send, he's even sent letters to neighbors of where I'm relocating into in Tallahassee. I would ask him and members of his church, what's that got to do with politics? It goes back to what you said. This is an absolute personal attack. And I think it's important for the public to understand why the state attorney's involved is because they tried to blackmail Commissioner Yeager out of this race. You know, it's not just dirty politics. We're all thick-skinned. You run for office, you get hit in the face. That just happens, what you do, and et cetera. And they have a right to question what decisions we make. What they don't have a right to do is blackmail somebody out of, or try to blackmail someone out of an office, or attack them personally, or attack what happens with their family. These people have no bounds. And so I admire and appreciate you coming here and saying that, because no matter who sits in these chairs, we're still a small community. We still need to band together. You may like or dislike Bill Williams or Carmen McLemore, et cetera, but that's what democracy does. Democracy allows you every 4 years to vote them in or out. But you do not have the right, sitting on that side or sitting on this side, to attack people's families, you know, and to no matter what their issues are. If anyone in that audience thinks that they don't have personal failings or financial failings or things wrong, they're living in a fantasy. Jim Garth, foreclosed properties. He's very good at talking about other people's financial failings. What he is, this is not about bullying. It's about being a coward. It's not about coming to the podium and doing what you do or confronting the man face to face that you're attacking. You do it with a computer and in the shadows. And I would ask the community to certainly look at these people and go, what have we become if we let them allow it? Now, I'm not saying we do everything perfect up here. But you do not attack people's families, and you certainly don't break the law and try to blackmail people. Why the state attorney is involved is, again, they tried to blackmail that man out of the race, attacking his integrity, his family, and everything that was there. And why I was willing to wear a wire, okay, for FDLE, I kind of always thought I'd be on the other side of the wire, being an elected official. But the scenario was what they did to him was wrong. Okay, and I would do it 100 times over, and I would testify it 100 times. They ought to look at themselves and say, how dare they? They're malicious, cold-hearted people. Now, in the case of Joanna, people can vote however they want to vote. That's not the issue. To me, it's when you put yourself in a position where people can attack you, and from a legal or from an ethical standpoint, but I would say just as a community, how dare you? When you go to church, how do you look at somebody and go, oh, yeah, I sent letters to a commissioner who's not even running? Okay, so let's say it's the PAC's motive for good government. They sent letters, Jim Garth did, to neighbors in Tallahassee, okay, found out where we were moving and sent those letters attacking me. What was the political purpose or the motive for good government when I'm not running? That's nothing but malicious, try to embarrass, and everything that you pointed out from the beginning. So I look at them as cowards. They certainly have a voice, but they need some courage. But I appreciate you coming. Does anybody else have anything?
You know, just all I'm asking, you know, we like about 2 more weeks of this political arena. It'll be over with. Win, lose, or draw, it'll be over with. Just go out and do a clean campaign.
You just need to vote.
Yeah, and go vote.
That's how you speak
and,
your voice.
You know, and I encourage people to move down here. But we don't need people like Jim Garth and the PAC to move into Gulf County. We don't want those people here. I don't. That's all I have. I'll get off on it.
Thank you for coming.
No.
I just,
Hold on.
Go.
More comments.
Ms. McElroy, comes to contributions. People have the right to make a contribution, and the person seeking office has the right to accept it or reject it. So that's just a fact.
yes.
Make contributions and question that. And let me emphasize this. The person has the right, that contribution, they can either accept it or reject it.
That's correct.
That's a fact now.
It is a fact.
All right, that's all. I just want to show on the money part.
Charlie had some questions.
No, actually, I don't have no questions. I just have a comment. I've been in St. Joe all the 6 years, all my life. I chose to stay in St. Joe because I love this little town. And one thing about this little town that I really love about it is that when somebody's down, this town will react. We always have did that. If someone get burned out, we react. If someone get killed, we react. We react in a good way, not no bad way. We react in a way that we reach out to help each other. And things that work on a national level, it don't work on this local level in Gulf County. Now, I can't speak about the other counties, but I can speak about Gulf County. Because just about everybody in Gulf County, if I don't know your name, I know your face. So what I'm saying, stuff like that, and I have said it, and I continue to say it, stuff like that do not work in Gulf County. You would be surprised the people that you would turn against you. In Mr. Yeager's position, I told Mr. Yeager, I read about what happened. I had people to call me and say, Smiley, I'm going out to vote. I wasn't going to vote, but this is not called for. They showed me a letter that was sent to their house. They said, Tan, I'm not going to vote. I'm going to vote simply because this letter come to my house. That's the reaction that they got from the citizens of Gulf County. And I want to thank the citizens of Gulf County for reacting when a crisis comes. It don't matter black, white. When a crisis comes, the people of Gulf County react. And in my book, this is just like a crisis. Because I would get very offended if someone says something about my family. Mr. Williams, I give you utmost respect with your son. I finally got a chance to meet your son, and to see you react with your son the way you react with your son, if anybody says something negative, I'll take your place in that fight for you.
Thank you.
Because I respect a man who stands by his family. And I seen that. No matter what went on in the past, I seen that with you and your son. And your daughters, not leaving them out, but I seen that especially with you and your son. And I appreciate that to the highest.
Thank you.
I thank the citizens of Gulf County for being good citizens. Even though we might not agree on everything. I mean, I got a big thing going on right now with some of the citizens with the countywide issue. But we still see each other, and I say, hey, they say, hey, we still go along, and it ain't none of this stabbing in the bite. So I just want to say that I'm thankful for living in a town like Gulf County, because stuff like that just don't work.
Anything else? Thank you
Just
for coming.
If I can just say, I agree, and I don't think we should forget, my point was about Spring Hill, Louisiana, is when I looked for a place, I was looking for a place that I had great memories and those kind of values. So, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I wasn't going to say anything, but I will say this. It has been a tough election, tough campaign year, and it's been a tough last few years because of the economy and a number of different things. But we as a community, I agree with Tan. We come together. When there are issues, people come together. But we need to continue to do that. We need to continue to try to work with the opponents of us. We need to have open dialogue. And that's what I would tell anybody that disagrees with any stance, is come have a conversation with the board. Come have a conversation with your commissioner. If there's an issue out there that you don't believe the good government's going on, come have a conversation. Many of these folks that attacked me has never called and sat down and talked about anything to do with county government. All I'm saying is we're an open book. We do transparency. I've asked Tim Croft with the Star, if there's something that you want to have a discussion on, come have a conversation. I'm a phone call away. We as a community got to come together, and that's the only way our community is going to stay strong. That's the only way our community will continue to be a great community. And I would just offer that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There were a lot of comments made to some of the residents that are sitting in the audience. Would anyone that was named personally like to address the podium?
Bill Coran, failed candidate for District 5. I have no comment to what Ms. McElroy said, but I do have comment to, if I have written or said anything that is not true, I want somebody to call me on the carpet for it. If there's anything you believe that I said was not correct, tell us right now.
It's not a court. You can say whatever you'd like, and we'd be out of
No, I
question.
don't want, I've
I'm not trying
said
to
what I'm gonna
evaluate what you did or
say. I
didn't.
lost. We brought the information out. I'm just saying, if you feel as a board that I have said anything that is not true, tell me what it is right now. You seem to
Let me
have
address
things
that.
you claim that have been put out there that are not true.
Yeah, Mr.
Tell me
Chairman,
what they are.
Mr. McLemore?
may I address that?
Yes, sir.
Are you a part of the PAC?
Yes, I am a member of the PAC.
Okay, then therefore, you were a part of the letter that just gone out recently against Commissioner McLemore stating that he was not able to vote on any BP issues. Is that correct?
I'm not aware of that letter.
You were part of that PAC. Now, you stood up here
All right.
and you came to the podium.
Let's be
I'm-
respectful, Mr. McLemore. I hear you, but if you will, let's not raise tones. Let's just answer the question.
Okay,
Go ahead.
what I'm saying is there's a lot of letters out there. Okay, I was not a party to that letter. I don't know if the PAC specifically set out the letter. I have heard discussion of the fact that you shouldn't be allowed to vote. You did get close to $250,000 when the whole county only got $777,000. You got one-third, one man got one-third of the entire budget for Gulf County from BP.
How much did you get, Mr. Coram? Because I saw you out there working every single day. You had an opportunity to go
You
out
saw
and
me
make
working
money.
where?
And that's what I did. I went out and made money. But let's get back to the fact. You are a part of the PAC that put a letter out that is a bald-faced lie. Now, I've got the attorney. He addressed that. He's cleared that up. So don't come to the podium there and request something that he can't back up.
Well, show me the letter.
Let me
Show me the
step
letter.
in.
Show me where I signed it. Show me where I
Mr.
wrote
Cran,
it.
let me step in for a moment. First of all, I think everybody has the right to voice what they're saying. I appreciate you coming to the podium because most of your colleagues won't. I have one question for you. When the attempt was made to blackmail Mr. Yeager, were you also aware of that conversation?
I was not aware, and I also object to you saying there was an attempt to blackmail him.
There was an attempt to blackmail him, okay? Because I wore the wire and heard the information. There was absolutely intent. I just asked you, did you know about it? Because you seem to be intimate with it. Okay, were you aware that Mr. Garf's letters talk about my family and me abandoning my handicapped children?
No, I've never heard that,
Okay.
and I don't think you can say that. I've had your son on my boat. I've
Listen,
had your daughter's
I
birthday
didn't
party
say
on
you
my
did
boat.
it,
Now
Mr.
you're gonna turn
Coran.
around
I
and say
did
I'm
not
attacking
say,
your child.
stop now, we're not arguing. What I said was, were you aware of Mr. Garf's letter? I didn't say you did it, okay? Because the
which letter?
Well, he's written a kabillion, but the one that specifically talks about me abandoning my handicapped child.
No, I had no idea he did.
Then I appreciate you coming up. Thank you. Anyone else from the public? All right, thank you. I appreciate you standing up. One more, please, and I do have one issue I need to review. I forgot to talk about the CRA. I need to come back to, but go ahead.
Just a quick address. I can't talk for my board, but I can say this, that 2 years ago, the Port Authority had 2 full-time employees. The Chamber of Commerce had 2 full-time employees. Economic Development Council at that time had 2 full-time employees. All 3 directors each made more money than I do. They had a higher salary. So we went basically from 6 full-time employees to me. Now, we're going to add somebody hopefully within the next 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever the board decides to do. Again, that's a board decision. They do all the interviewing, they do all the hiring, and I work with that individual. So there's 2 or 3 different scenarios they went through, and hopefully my board meeting that I'm late for right now, I'll find out a little more about that. But I just want to let you know, we're getting a lot of bang, because I'm good at what I do, for a little buck. And
Let me ask you a question. I don't know
Yes,
if you were
sir.
here earlier.
Yes.
When I was talking about the future of what the chamber or the EDC. Can you clarify that for us, or do you, I mean, because I pointed out that I may be speculating, because I've heard that they're going to do this split. They're going to have the chamber on one side, the EDC on the other, and obviously when I look at it from the outside, and I have not been briefed, so I'm not trying to put you in a corner, I don't know how you operate both entities on $40,000, so I appreciate you coming up here. Could you clarify for the board what your understanding of the vision is or what the chamber is deciding to do?
Well, there's two or three scenario. Number one is to have me as the president and CEO. Currently, the president of the board become the chairman of the board. It's mainly just title changes to conform with most other chambers in the city, in the state, and in the country. The two scenarios is one, to keep it like it is, where you've got a president with either a vice president for the economic development side and the Chamber of Commerce side. That was the plan 1 year, 1 month, and 4 days ago. I'm counting them. Due to budget constraints and different things that have happened here and there, we've never hired that third person. We had Ms. Grove and Ms. Perrin as the assistant director of the chamber, and we need somebody in that type of position, whether she is titled the assistant director or the vice president or the president. I don't know what title it is. They can call me Gopher as long as I can do my job and you can pay me. But I'll find that out. Like I said, we had a 9 o'clock board meeting, which I'm heading to right now.
Well, could you do this board a favor? Because like we talked about earlier in the meeting, I think we're in a very precarious spot trying to find the support services that Mr. Butler needs and then trying to plan out what's going to happen. Because if that split, in fact, happens and they go with different scenarios that you're explaining, and we take that responsibility back under the county, there's a whole bunch of issues that's going to have to be looked at, including the money, and the budget and where it comes from. So I would appreciate if you could come back and get with Mr. Butler as soon as possible so that as he's making this review and the descriptions and things, we understand what we're doing.
Okay. And I hope y'all can work out, and if we need to be part of this, the next meeting between the county and city, I'd like to be a part of that because, again, a year and a month ago, I was told that I was going to get $80,000 a year for 5 years from the county, $10,000 a year from the city of Port St. Joe, and me to be working on Weewa Hitchka, which we're doing. And had a good meeting with them Monday night again up in Weewa. So I go to their meetings once a month, just like I do y'all's in the city. So, for me going from a budget thinking I've got $90,000 to $100,000 for 5 years to saying I've got 40, you dang right, it affects me.
That's kind of my question. Speaking to Mr. Butler earlier, is like, where have you been? If that budget's cut, and I don't know what your structure's going to be, and I don't know how your money's going to flow. And when you talk about a crisis, and we've talked about several today, but that's a department that needs some attention. What are we doing? So please do that immediately, and this board will take some action.
And I remind you, I answer to 11-person board who represents 251 and growing chamber members, who represents the 14,000 citizens of Gulf County. So I work for all 14,000, the way I feel about it, and I will get with them this morning. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Butler, I have one other piece of business I forgot to go over earlier. Gail, can you come up for a second with the Downtown Redevelopment Board? If the two of you could, I need some clarification, and I'm not trying to step on your toes, but I have some major concerns. It's been a couple things. I've been getting different parts and pieces as I've pulled the information, but, there's a lot of different feelings on the DRA and how it orchestrates, et cetera, and what the state statute is, et cetera, and we all understand how that's operated. And a lot of what I'm talking about, Gail, comes before your time. But the scenario with Matt Fleck that was there, when we've pulled the information, and I'll get to that in a second, but basically, this gentleman was looking at $110,000 or $100 an hour and $100,000 a year from basically 1/15/09 to 8/15/09. I don't understand how somebody can make that much money, and when there's a budget of $300,000, $400,000 that's shared between the county and city and what we're doing. And you're not in that category, so don't let me step on that. But you're still making $50 an hour on a part-time position. And when people start looking that are paying those taxes and the intent of the TIF funds and how those CRA dollars are orchestrated, that needs to be clarified, because when you're talking about basically 50% of what's out there going into salaries, that's a problem. And so I think what I'm asking for is maybe a meeting with you and the city and you so that we can clarify sort of how that unfolds. But the more major problem I have when we talk about transparency and accountability, et cetera, it was very difficult, Gail, to get this information. And as a citizen, I mean, it's kind of a dot to dot that can get lost. The other thing of the repository of the records, I don't know how you can, with you and your board, spend the money and also keep the books. It's not kept by the clerk of the court here. The city indicated they don't keep the records. So I don't understand how that works. How is the check and balance in your department? So I guess I'm asking for two things. One, if you would follow up with Mr. Butler and with the city and describe to us more of the budget overview, not the projects and the things that are there. But when I look at someone who's making over $100,000 more than the sheriff or any constitutional officer for what's technically considered a part-time job with bonuses, et cetera, and eating up half, and again, this is your predecessor, I'm not talking specifically you, but that's a problem of oversight. When we've got that board overseeing it and the city's not looking at that, I don't understand that. And if you're going to be in that position long-term, then why don't we look at a permanent FTE at a reasonable salary instead of $50 an hour plus bonuses that are set up for you on grant writing? That puts an unknown number into the CRA. So that's question number one. Question number two is.
To respond to that is.
Well, hang on, let me point the two questions, then by all means, I'll turn it over. The second point is, can you answer how we have fallen into where you're the check writing board and you're the repository of records? I don't understand that. And with that, please, ma'am.
All right. Well, I can't respond to the salary of my predecessor, but I think that you could certainly learn that information by speaking to the board. We do go through an audit every year, and the audits are always clean. Relative to my hourly rate, remember that is as an independent contractor, so I have to pay all my taxes, health care, everything out of that. So it's a little bit misleading.
Well, I want to make sure you understand. I'm not talking. I said primarily your predecessor.
Right.
My bigger issue is oversight. You may have an audit that's absolutely clean because if I'm paying $115,000 in personnel, plus they had an assistant, which was another $24,000 in that budget during his period, not yours. My problem is more of the oversight. Where is that check? If we do something on this board, contrary to what the public believes, the lady sitting right over there will look at it and tell us we can or cannot do that. You don't have that check and balance. So that's really more of my concern under your watch, because I realize you're a private contractor, but can you tell me how that can be addressed or what your thoughts are?
I know years ago in the CRA, we talked about separating those two things. We just didn't because the budget's been so small. Then you have to pay, more to have somebody do that. Now, Robertson Associates are sort of on retainer for us, so they go over the things, and I have Michael come in often to check things out, to look at the reports, to, if anything has to be looked at or any journal entries, that's done through Robertson's and Associates. So,
Mr. Attorney, maybe you can help me. I'm really not talking about your accounting and your auditing is not correct. I'm by no means implying malfeasance or misfeasance, and that's not what I'm implying. What I'm saying is that under statute, there has to be a clarification between the check writer and the person who keeps the records. Your agency is doing both, and I don't know how that works, okay? So if you can explain maybe statute or if I'm off-centered, but the scenario to me is I think that the city of Port St. Joe, which they have a clerk, and/or the clerk of the county, okay, has to keep your records.
And it used to be that way.
Well, I don't know how you separate it. I don't know how the same people that can write the checks and the board that can approve it. Let me give you an example. Under your predecessor, when someone's making $115,000 over a $300,000 budget, that's a lot of money. That's not just little bits of money. And so no one can really do it. So to me, it gives the opportunity for something to go afoul. So can you help me understand that?
I wish I could, Chairman. In terms of the statute and the obligations, I know that the city used to be responsible, and I think at one point, and I'm just going off what I understand, is the city turned it over to the DRA at some point or another. So right now, you have the supervision internally. I'm not familiar with that statute. Obviously, it's been under the city's responsibility and under the auspices of their regulations. I can look into it. I can talk with Jim and Gail. I'd be happy to look and get a better understanding of it.
With the city, because they're the primary point on this. But if you could clarify with them those issues, that would make me certainly look at it.
And it used to be that when I was in this position previously, the city wrote the checks. we presented them with the invoices, and, the trust fund was separated in a different bank account, but that was our checks and balance. And why that stopped, I don't know, but I think that's a wonderful idea to go
Well,
back and
that's
take
my
a
thing.
look at it.
Again, Gail, I am not saying anything of impugning you in any way. I think you do a fine job.
Thank
What I'm
you.
saying, I really mean that. But the scenario I am
Really,
saying,
thank you.
I do. But the scenario is you have to understand, if you're writing the checks, well, let me back up.
I'm with you.
You're approving the process, you're writing the checks, and you're keeping the records.
Yeah, I'm with you 1,000,000%. I think any and all oversight. One thing I don't understand was you said you had trouble getting some information.
Yes,
What
I
do
asked
you?
for public information requesting back to the city of Port St. Joe. And it was, well, let me back up. I asked for my own clerk for weeks upon weeks upon weeks and couldn't get it. And then we found out when I talked to Becky about it, she said, we don't keep those records. So it wasn't that people were avoiding me, it was just hard to find out who has the records.
Well, all I know is that you spoke to Jim Anderson, and I had the stuff to him within 2 days. I just did it. And I think you got it from him
Yeah,
immediately. So I think
Well,
within
it
a
wasn't
week,
immediate, but
I think
it
within
got
a
better,
week
but
you
a
had
citizen
ours.
should know it's with the clerk, it's with here, or whatever we pull.
Right.
And then with the oversight, I just, and the question, going back to premise one, or the question one was, that our board approves $115,000 for somebody, that's a problem. That's a lot of money for a down, and again, that's before your time, but please look at it, we'll go from there.
I'll be happy to. And then, and also, just to keep you informed, we've already this fiscal year, we've been awarded $53,000 grant. So, so like I mentioned in the 7-year summary, we matched almost dollar for dollar outside money coming in through grants that I wrote for the TIF last year. So this year, we're already at 25%. So my point is that, it's $50 an hour. I'm bringing a lot of money back in for that.
Again, this is more so about your predecessor than it is, but my standpoint is if you got a $300,000 budget and you look at the work that's been down, which there has been some work, prior to, and then you also coming back, that's doing what the blighted area and the upgrades are supposed to do. But if we're paying half of the budget to salary, somebody has to revisit the game plan. And that's where there's no oversight that concerns me, not, again, saying it. But anyway, I've said
Okay.
enough. I appreciate you
All
coming.
right, so
on.
just action items, make sure I understand what we're doing. I'm going to see where we can include some more checks and balances so that there's just, even though there's no even presumption of anything going wrong, that there's somebody else involved.
Yeah, and then I think just working with Mr. Butler and Jim on that budget so people understand what the director's making versus what dollars are actually being put into the field, or into the actual operation. So that's all.
All right, thanks.
All right, anyone else from the public? Motion to adjourn. Yeah, we got to go.
I got commodities to give out.